Hello and welcome to another On The Bench Extra. This week we hear from Scunthorpe United's assistant manager Ned Kelly and we'll revisit the action from Grimsby's tie with Barnet last weekend. We'll also be looking at the upcoming fixtures, and in the studio with me is Tom Hardy to discuss all of this. And don't forget, we are on social media as well. So we'll crack on, Hardy. We'll start by talking about the local sides and your thoughts on them. So we'll start with Hull City. What are your thoughts on those?
Hull City disappointing, obviously going through a really difficult patch at the moment. Steve Bruce under quite a bit of pressure. Doesn't seem that long ago we were talking about him being England manager possibly. So obviously difficult times there. The 3-0 defeat to West Ham was a big blow as well. Everything was looking so good at half time.
I think Bruce is, he's looking stressed as well on the sidelines. Do you feel that as well?
Yeah. I don't think he's getting what he wants out of some of his bigger players. Like Huddleston has just completely gone off form. All the people at the start of the season saying he deserves an England call-up.
Can we judge him at the moment with so many injuries to his first team? Is it fair?
Sometimes using an excuse, isn't it? You've got to work with the players you've got. He assembled that squad and you've got to deal with things like injuries. So,
again, Scunthorpe United picking up 2 freak injuries, and we'll talk about it more in the show later. But broken arms. What does Mac Robbins do now with his first choice keeper and his second choice keeper out?
Well, that one's obviously a little bit different because it's goalkeepers as well, a specialist position. So Andrew Boyce did a fantastic job by the look of things. But
I think as a child, I think he played in goal, as we'll hear later on as well. So
good job really.
Yes, and obviously Grimsby Town. We'll look at the last league fixture against Barnet, top of the table clash really. What are your thoughts on Grimsby's season?
I mean, the last game was just fantastic. It was brilliant to watch. There's so much negativity, as we said last week, around Grimsby, but after that sort of game, the fans can't complain. A TV match as well, it was brilliant.
Now, if you could ask any of the Grimsby players one question, what would you want to ask them right now about the season?
Oh, about the season?
Yeah, you're in a pub together, what would you be asking them? Can you win the title?
How likely is it to win the league? I don't think necessarily get a playoff place because I think that should be a realistic target. But how realistic is it to win the league?
Good question. Over a few beers, though, the answer might change.
Definitely, yeah.
So we'll look at the latest results. Hull City's misfortunes continued with a 3-0 loss against West Ham at Upton Park. Goals from Carroll, Downing and Al Mifitano gave the Hammers all 3 points. At Scunthorpe United's expense, Bristol City continued their winning ways with a 4th consecutive win. A penalty from Emmanuel Thomas and a goal and open play from Freeman sealed the win. Grimsby Town's last league fixture was against Barnet. Akinde scored for the visitors with an early penalty after 6 minutes, which was ruled out moments later by a goal from Palmer. Jack McCreth scored the 3rd goal for the Mariners. And finally, North Ferriby United travelled to Stalybridge Celtic. They came back from 2-0 down to share a point. Matt Regan scored an own goal and Greg Anderson scored for the Villagers. So, we'll take a look back at the action from that league match between Grimsby and Barnet.
Looking to make himself available. Ball goes to the edge of the area. That's a nice overhead. He couldn't get it away really. Jack McCreth. Well, Town fighting for it, but it bounces away. And it's Barnet with the push forward. No offside, and it's a good little turn. Toto's left behind. Oh, it's a penalty. Penalty by Toto, quite obvious. Easy decision. Just came across his heels. He had another defender coming in and it didn't need to do it. Here we go. Easy one. Stroked it into the bottom corner. What a poor start for Town. Parslow with the throw. Nice and easy and early. Oh, that's great play by Lionel John Lewis. Drives it in. Good play by the big fella. Puts his man under pressure. Disley. Ball gets away. McCreth can't make anything of it. Here's Arnold. It fell very nicely for him into the challenge. There's a ball back to him. Doesn't come through. Comes through now. Oh, what a goal! Oliver Palmer spears it into the top corner. Well, the ball was bobbling about. It fell right to the feet there of Palmer. What a finish. Right into the top corner. There's a ball for Lionel John Lewis, who's looking to... well, that looked like a penalty as well. It was a nudge. It was a nudge in the back. It was a daft penalty. It was as daft as the one that Toto gave away. He was close to his defender. All right, now come on. Big Linnell. Yes! Straight down the middle. Good penalty on Maguire, that. He was working on the basis the goalkeeper would move. Arnold, that's nicely off. Scott Brown. It's not a bad ball in. Who's behind it? There we go. Palmer. Brown, nicely done. Arnold. Palmer into the challenge. Lays off now. Brown. This is Magnay who is supporting. Good play by Kyle Magnay. There's a ball in low near post. Flicked on. It's 3! Jack McCreth stole it at the back post. Just able to nudge it over the line. The ball in was what caused the problem. Good play by Magnay. Good touch on.
So, a magnificent win for the Mariners. Was that expected, Hardy?
I don't think it was, and I think the fans were quite pessimistic. There's the view that Town don't perform when the game's on telly, and against the bigger sides sometimes they don't show up. So I think a welcome victory against what looked like a very ordinary Barnet side as well.
I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure Paul Hurst this season has got results against the bigger sides. You know, he's gone away to Wrexham maybe, and then Macclesfield, and now Barnet. So, you know, I think it's the results against the so-called minnows of the league that he's suffered against.
Yeah, we've said that before, and teams like Telford, Nuneaton, the games that Town have got coming up as well against those two teams. They're the sort of games where they've been throwing the points away. I think in the past, when they've had a TV game, like the Bristol Rovers game to start the season was televised, it was in a 0-0. I know it's against a good side, but you know, it's a bit boring.
Now, watching those highlights, we were sort of got our manager heads on, and you know that goal for Barnet, the first goal. What was wrong with that goal? So many things.
Well, don't think Toto's going to want to watch that one back. I bet he was getting a little bit of stick.
He was beaten too easily at first.
He was. I mean, he went round the wrong way. He let Akinde pass and sort of said, "There you go, run into this space." Yeah. And by the time he'd realised it, he'd gone back, tripped him up, and you know, you're going to give away a penalty.
Soft penalty as well. And obviously that connection was made. There was contact, so the referee probably would give it. But at the same time, you know, the striker was probably looking for that. He knew there'd be contact.
Of course he did. Yeah. He's got a bit of experience now, Akinde, loads of goals, so he knows what he's doing up there.
Obviously, West Ham then destroying Hull. Steve Bruce didn't obviously want to see that result, but he did. You know, massive loss for Hull. Yeah,
without a doubt. Things look all right until half-time, like I said before. But just defensive lapses, a mistake by McGregor, who's been pretty reliable since they've signed him. Things like that don't help. He should have done better with the goal, parrying it away. Should have got it round the post.
Obviously, that Scunthorpe result, we'll talk about that a bit later, I'm sure, as well. But we'll move on to the next sort of thing I want to ask you, Hardy. Grimsby, can they still win this title? Can they win the division?
They can, yes. Obviously, they've got Barnet to play again, which will be a whole different sort of prospect, playing Barnet away.
If they obviously win those games in hand they've got, and they win the next game against Barnet that they still need to play, they'll be 3 points behind Barnet.
Exactly, and Barnet can always slip up. We've seen they've had a bit of a bad run lately. Obviously, the result against Town, they got hammered by Lincoln as well, so anything can happen in the league, and Town have just got to keep winning their games.
And I mentioned on Twitter in midweek that Barnet have now lost the same amount of games as Grimsby, which is 7. So you can't argue with that record defensively. So is it the draws that have let Town down this season?
It has, yeah, and I think that's been the problem for Bristol Rovers as well. I think they've drawn a lot of games. I think Bristol Rovers have conceded the least in the league, and then Town are second to that. I'm pretty sure of that. Barnett's defence didn't look very good at all. I mean, I thought Ngala, the centre-half for the Palmer goal, I don't know what he was doing, but they looked shaky all game. They couldn't deal with Palmer or John Lewis. Yeah,
the two big men up top for Town there. It'd be nice if they could form that partnership, you know, on a more regular basis.
Yeah, definitely. It looked like they've been playing together for months. They were really good, and Palmer looks like a lower league Andy Carroll.
So do you think that tells the fans, and probably Paul Hurst then, that, you know, the problem is turning these draws into wins? You need that creative midfielder, that man that can, you know, win a game for you. Is that what they need?
Yes, but Brown was back on form again, I think, against Barnet. He looked a lot better, and that was a massive help. And I thought Magnay at left back was absolutely brilliant. He was like another creative outlet for Town. He was really good.
So, you know, the Hurst out brigade, are they still saying Hurst out, or do they have faith restored after this big win?
Well, you know, it's in and out. You know, if Town get a good result, then you don't hear much from them. They go a bit quiet. As soon as there's something's not going their way,
They're
then they're all over social media. So we'll have to see with that. But that result's done him so many favours. Town were brilliant. The performance was great as well.
Massive result for the Mariners.
Huge.
Right. Greg has taken another wild stab in the dark with this quiz question for us. Take a look at this.
Can you name the Scunthorpe United team that played Everton in the 2011 FA Cup?
Right. Murphin. Was it Slocum in goal? Murphy. Canavan, was he? This is terrible. Lovely face for me to finish on there. Are you feeling confident for your challenge?
No, not at all. Not this week.
Right, we'll see Hardy's attempt in part 2, and then we will reveal the answers that we could have had. So we'll move on to this week's halftime teaser, and it is, who scored the winner for Scunthorpe United against Leyton Orient in the 1999 playoff final? For the answer, join us after the break. Welcome back to Extra. Now, Alex Calvo Garcia scored the winner for Scunthorpe in '99 against Leyton Orient. Well done if you got that. Still to come, we hear from Ned Kelly, the assistant boss of Scunthorpe, on that bizarre broken arm situation, and we'll talk about the upcoming fixtures. But first, this is Hardy's attempt at the Wild Stab in the Dark challenge.
Can you name the Scunthorpe United team that played Everton in the 2011 FA Cup?
Joe Murphy in goal. Marcus Williams. David Murphy. Niall Canavan. Cliff Byrne. Matt Sparrow. Paul Hayes. Billy Sharp. God almighty, that was hard.
Yes, not a loss.
It's about time really, Rudy.
Right, we both got Murphy and Murphin. We could have had Nolan, Jones, Collins, O'Connor, Wolford, Wright, Forte or Dagnall.
Harder than it looks, especially when you're on the spot.
Definitely, I do agree there. So we'll move on. We'll go to, obviously, another manager who's under the spotlight for sack or stick. It's a results game, and these results are quite poor. It's Wayne Burnett at Dagenham and Redbridge. Hardy, they're 23rd at the moment, with 26 points. Pretty poor.
Yeah, it's not going well. Obviously, Grimsby Town legend Wayne Burnett scored in the famous final at Wembley. Dagenham last season were very good. Seem to remember they were pushing for the playoffs. And I think Rhys Murphy was scoring a lot of goals for them. I believe he's still there. I don't know if he's been injured or not, but there's something obviously going wrong because he's not scoring the goals clearly, they're not winning games.
For me, he should be winning week in, week out, fielding two teams, Dagenham and Redbridge.
Oh, dear
so
me.
What's going wrong?
Terrible.
Why is he not doing it?
I don't know. Maybe the players from both teams are poor, Reedy.
Right. The last 5 results, he's only won 1 in 5, drawn 3, only lost the 1, mind, but it's not good, winning 1 in 5.
Yeah.
Those stats speak for themselves.
Of course they do. It's relegation form. And that is the last thing they want. Obviously, they came up to the Football League however many years ago, solidified themselves within the league, looking to obviously move on, as a lot of teams do, as Crawley and Fleetwood and teams like that have shown. And obviously this season it's not working.
They've been successful doing that, haven't they, the other teams?
They have, yeah. They've had a lot of financial backing. Crawley have had money pumped in. Fleetwood especially, who have just appointed Greta Steinson as technical director.
Wild decision.
Very strange decision. But
on home results, they will be 22nd, and on away results, 17th. Now, we found with Grimsby, on away results, they'd be higher in the table as well. What's going on with this? Away form being better this season?
It's strange. I don't know if it's the case with Scunthorpe this season, but the season's gone past where away form has been better. So, is it psychological? Is it the fans getting on the back? It's a really, really strange one. Can't figure it out.
If we look at their overall record, I'll just mention this to you. They've played 26, won 7, drawn 5, lost 14. Are they going down this season to join the Conference Premier?
Well, if they're still losing as double as many as they've won, they will go down. Only Hartlepool below them, who have been absolutely dreadful.
Thank you, Hardy. We'll move on. We'll now hear from Ned Kelly, the assistant manager of Scunthorpe, on that bizarre broken arm situation.
You know, in all my time in football, and Gaffer and I have been talking about it over the last few days, you know, we've been in the game a long time, both of us, and for that to happen was just unprecedented, with both keepers going down with near enough exactly the same injury. You know, I'd never known anything like it before. You know, you talk at half time usually about, you know, what substitutes you're going to make and what you're thinking about, how you're going to change things, and of course that just gets ripped up, doesn't it? But the boys will be out for a good while, which is disappointing for the two of them. They're both unfortunate parts of football. Unfortunately, the thing is with it, it's there's an injury risk element for everybody. But you know, Sevs has worked so hard to get back fully fit, and then to get his opportunity when Sam, you know, had gone down, and then it only lasted 15 minutes or so, is obviously disappointing. For not just for Sevs or for Sam, but for the club as a whole. Boyce, we had the conversation on the sidelines, and Boyce told me that he was a goalkeeper when he was a kid. So that was a decision made really quickly. Lyle Taylor was going to go in. We had plenty of people offering to go in, but fortunately we were able to go with Boyce. You know, and he come and got a couple. He made a couple of saves. So he done brilliant. You know, as I say, it's a credit to the group, because at times, even before Sevs went off, you know, when Sam was in, then Sevs went in, we played some really, really good stuff. You know, and it was noticed by the players and the staff that the crowd stayed with us all the way through the game. You know, the 90th minute, the whistle blew, and they were still singing in the stands, which was much appreciated by everybody at the club.
I think it's obvious where the priorities lay now for this transfer window. Goalkeepers.
Yeah, they need someone with a bit of experience probably, or even a keeper from a bigger club that's going to come in and be able to do the business straight away. I know obviously they've already got a young keeper there, third choice, but to throw him straight in when the team's looking at moving up the league is a lot of pressure, definitely.
Now there's no instruction manual on searching for players. Where do they look now for a goalkeeper then?
Well, they use the scouting network they've got. They look at clubs from leagues above, see who's available, maybe find a player that's unhappy, speak to agents, and try and get someone in that's going to bolster the ranks.
Now, what level of keeper do they look for then? Do they try and bring in from the Championship, you know, maybe a substitute keeper that wants first team football, or do they look below them to someone, you know, who's got League Two experience?
I would go for the higher leagues personally. I'd look for someone that's playing at that higher standard, even if it's, you know, you're looking at a Championship, Premier League under 21 keeper that can come in, has got a bit of energy that'll do the business. That, or someone with a bit of experience like Murphy, who they've been linked with, but apparently he's not going to go through.
Do you think goalkeepers at Premier League level, Championship level, even in the, you know, under 21 side or reserve team, would they drop to League One? Would they do that?
It depends. Maybe if it's going to be for a month or two, maybe they might do it because they're not committing for a long period of time. I personally can see them getting the keeper Blackman from Chelsea. I know they've got Davey on loan from Chelsea already, so that might be a possibility. So they just need to keep having a look out and see who's available, really. I
think in these situations they can get emergency loan deals, maybe, you know, for like a 2-month period. That could be something to look at.
Yeah, or even a youth loan. I know they do 28-day youth loans, I think, as well. But they'll be regretting. They had Bobby Alejnik on loan a couple of months back, and he's now gone on loan to York, I believe. So they might be ruining that decision, and that's just luck. That's football. Just quickly, then, do you think this will like halt the momentum of the season so far for them? Well, it's, you know, it's a difficult one. It's a difficult one, definitely.
I wouldn't want to be Mark Robbins or Ned Kelly right now.
No, it's very tricky.
Right, thank you, Hardy. We'll look now at the forthcoming fixtures for our local sides. Hull City host Newcastle at the KC Stadium. Newcastle still with a new boss in desperate need of 3 points, as well as the Tigers needing the points. A defeat here would leave Bruce under even more immense pressure. Scunthorpe United play MK Dons at Glanford Park in a League One fixture on Tuesday. MK Dons sitting third, so yet another tough test for the Iron without, of course, a first-team goalkeeper. North Ferriby United travel to Farnborough in the FA Trophy third round. An eventual trip to Wembley would be much welcomed for the villagers. Only 4 games stands between them and Wembley. So Hardy, we'll start with North Ferriby. We mentioned it last week on the show briefly. Now, an FA Trophy run for them, would that mean, you asked me the question, would that mean more to the fans than promotion?
It's a difficult one because they're not doing as well in the league this year. They're way off top spot. AFC Fylde running away with it. Still possibility of playoffs, obviously. But obviously they're going to have to consolidate some way. Do they push to get in the playoffs, or do they push to try and get to a Wembley final?
And as I mentioned, obviously they're only 4 games away from Wembley. Now for North Ferriby United, a trip to Wembley, it is possible. You know, they are one of the better sides probably left in the competition. You know, they've got the chance of getting there. Is that more realistic than getting promotion to the Conference Premier? As you say, they're only like 9th in the obviously Conference North table.
Yeah, I think they've still got the sights on promotion possibly. They've got some good players in there. You know, Nathan Jarman's a great striker for that level. So they'll still be looking at that. But Wembley's obviously a massive achievement, and it'd be a massive uproar for the fans and for the players. They'd love it. So going to Farnborough as well, who aren't doing very well in the Conference South, I think the second bottom. So it's a winnable game. That's
what I was going to mention as well. Farnborough, we look at, obviously they're on a similar level, just in the Conference South, but they're in the relegation places in that league. So this is a fixture they'll look at and think, we can win this, and then they're 3 games from Wembley, and before you know it, they're dreaming of Wembley, and the league form might suffer because of that.
It could do. It's a realistic chance there. They could do it. Seeing the FA Trophy, some of the supposed bigger teams don't always feel the strongest sides. So they might be looking at beating Farnborough, thinking, you know, these aren't doing too well in their own league, and then we can go on and pit our wits against the other.
Well, let's face it, if me and you were players and you're 3 games away from Wembley Stadium, you know, looking at that, that's a massive sort of, you know, thing for a player. I mean, imagine playing at Wembley, Hardy. Would you love that?
Oh, it'd be awesome, especially if you're playing in the Conference North, and you know, it's not always the sort of thing you think of. You think Wembley's a million miles away.
Exactly.
So yeah, it's fantastic for the players.
To say, there's only 4 games away from this fixture. You know, going to Wembley, or if you get to the Conference Premier, you're still playing at semi-professional grounds. I think the FA Trophy should be a thing they pursue.
Definitely. Oh, definitely. And it's realistic, like we said.
So you think the odds of them getting there are pretty good?
Could be. He needs to beat Farnborough first.
Well, yeah, we're not ruling out that, you know, they do need to play that tie. It's not a given.
Yeah.
But quickly on their league form then. Promotion for North Ferriby this season.
Like we said, it's going to be hard. It's certainly going to be hard. They haven't had the best time up to Christmas and obviously until now. So they just need to be looking to win as many games as they can, obviously, to try and get in those playoff places. But then the playoffs are a lottery, as Grimsby have shown and as North Ferriby showed last season.
Thank you for your wise words, Hardy.
That's quite all right.
Thank you very much. Right, my watch says it's time to go. So you can join us same time, same place next week here on Estuary TV. Don't forget, you can contact us on social media, Facebook, Twitter. You can contact myself and Hardy on Twitter as well, and you can email us on the bench at estuary.tv. We'd love to hear from you, so please get in touch. So for this week, it's goodbye.